Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryaṃ Karavāvahi Tejasvinavadhitamastu Om Shanti śrīhariṃ paramānandam upadeṣṭāramīśvaram vyāpakaṃ sarvalokānāṃ kāraṇaṃ tam namāmyaham. Karyakaranata nityam aste ghatamritor yathā yathaiva śruti yuktibhyām prapancha brahmanorihe. From what we have so far discussed, we see any effect, anything that is created, a karya, created a product is called a karya. And then kāraṇa, cause. This karya kāraṇayoho, there is a sambandha. There is a relationship. What kind of relationship? One is satyam, the other is mithya. That relationship is not generally known, ajñānāt. So the effect is nāma purely a name with a meaning. Name means word with a meaning. So word with a meaning, that's all what you have. And then you go to the cause, which is satyam. That also is a name with a meaning. Then it has got its own satyam. Therefore, satyam is what is the thing. And therefore, you keep going. There is every object that we refer by a word. That object is just an attribute to the vastu, what is. The what is not the attribute. It doesn't have that attribute. And therefore, being attribute, being mithya, because itself is an attribute to something else which is an attribute, therefore attribute cannot be an attribute of an attribute. And therefore it has got to be an attribute of a substantive. And the substantive is non-attribute, free from attribute. Therefore there is only one substantive, one thing. And that is the reason why you take the world as is, asti iti upalabhyate. The whole jagat is received by you asti. There is no such thing as nasti. Nasti, if you say it doesn't exist, you have to tell what doesn't exist, where it doesn't exist. You have to tell what doesn't exist. So what doesn't exist means you have to know what doesn't exist. So you have to know. To know means you know there is an object called pumpkin. It doesn't exist in my hand, correct? It's there outside, okay? Real solid 30-pound pumpkin. ये देखने के बहुत आनंद होता है. So इतना healthy pumpkin. So this healthy pumpkin exists outside. Elsewhere it exists. You know pumpkin. To say it doesn't exist, you have to know what is it that doesn't exist, where it doesn't exist. Those things all exist, okay? And you should exist also. And therefore there is no such thing as non-existence. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. Therefore this shunya, anybody says, the shunya is elsewhere. There is no shunya. Shunya means zero. And therefore, so the whole thing exists. Even if you say there is absence, the absence exists. The absence of a flower in my hand exists. Now it exists, flower exists now, and now it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. My hand exists, flower exists elsewhere, flower, you know what is flower, and it doesn't exist here. Therefore, the absence of flower exists. Everything asti iti upalabhyate. Asti means is. Therefore, the entire jagat is asti iti upalabhyate. But if you look at the whole thing, sad asadbhyam anirvachaniyam, and the part is neither non-existent nor existent. What is this existent? It is a mithya attribute, as the attribute of what is. And what is Brahman. And therefore, ghatam mṛdoho, between pot and the clay, there is, what is there? So, aste is. What is aste? This karya karanata aste. One is gata is karya, and the karana is clay. So karya karanayoho, nityam, this bhava is there. Karya karana bhava. Now gata mṛdoho, pot is the karya. Karana is satyam, that is clay. In the example, what is karya and the clay is satyam karana. Therefore, karya and karana exist, this karya karanata, the status of being in effect and cause, is there. As long as pot is there, and nityam aste, that will be always there. Karya karanata asti. Why he tells? Because without one the other doesn't exist. Without the karana, the karya doesn't exist. Now with reference to jagat karanam, both nimitta and the upadanam, the whatever material is required, whatever knowledge is required, they are not two different things here. We are talking of one limitless karana. There is no second karana. And therefore, like a baker who is knowledgeable and skillful, and he can bake, and then he needs some material. Through that material alone he cooks, like a white flour or any other. He has to bake, and for baking there is material. He doesn't bake himself. So there are two causes. There are two causes. And therefore when you bring the San Francisco sourdough, only dough comes, okay? Sourdough comes, but not the baker. Baker is on a holiday. He goes on a holiday. After selling all this, therefore what I say, because two different. But this for the entire Jagat, which is pure Nama Rupa, you require only one cause. The knowledgeable cause, correct? The knowledgeable cause, the conscious being, that is the Jagat. The knowledge of Ishvara is the Jagat. And therefore there is nothing else. Word and meaning, 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 word and meaning. Word and meaning, word and meaning, word and meaning, word and meaning. And that is what is called knowledge. Knowledge. One knowledge. All the way knowledge. And that is called Jagat. One word. Collective. In the beginning there was Word. The Word was with God. And Word is God. All knowledge, you don't require a thing. And the thing is only one thing. And that is the real thing. Whenever I say real thing, I am always afraid. What will happen in your mind? See, in the American mind, because of the orientation, Coke is the real thing. Now it is gone. Now they don't advertise, but in American mind it is there, the real thing. Even in my mind it got transferred. And so why should I remember that? Whenever I say the real thing, and Coke comes along with that. There is only one real thing, that is the cause. Jagat is but pure knowledge manifestation. That's all you require. It's amazing. And therefore, when you see the Jagat, if we say it is karya, and non-separate from the karana, and that is Brahman. Brahman as Jagat Karanam alone we call Ishvara or God. Therefore, when you see Jagat, and the one who is the seer of the Jagat, there is only Ishvara, seer, seen, both Ishvara. Therefore, Brahman as Jagat Karanam, whenever the Brahman, the word is used, only as Ishvara it is used. Brahman is Ishvara, another word for Ishvara. It is Brahman. Another word is Ishvara. So Ishvara also, if you say Satchidananda is Ishvara, that is also true. In Shankara uses that kind of thing. Sometimes he uses the word Satchidananda as Ishvara. He uses the word Ishvara to refer Satyam Chittananda. Sometimes he uses the word Ishvara as in the form of Jagat as the cause of the Jagat. Because that is all what is there. And therefore, here he says, Karya Karanata Nityam Aste. As long as the pot is there, it is the Karya and the Karana is there. Clay is always there. Aste. Yathaiva. So too, the question here, that I see the pot and clay, I see it always together. When I see the pot, I see the clay. I don't require a second perception. At the same time, I see pot, I see clay. I see wave, I see water. And that is pramānasiddha. It is established by my own pramāna, by my own eyes, I can see that. But I don't see Brahman, I see only Prapancham. I see you, and then I have to tell you are Brahman. How? I don't see anything. Any Brahman aura doesn't come out of you. So how will I say you are Brahman and the other person is Brahman and all Al-Qaeda fellows are Brahman? And how I can say that? How it is possible? All are Brahman. I see only you. He says, you can see because you are seeing not, you are going to see the seer also. The seer sees the seen. But now the seer has to include himself and what is seen. That is kāraṇa. So that kāraṇa is there all the way. And it is self-revealing. That is the trick. Otherwise they will always be stuck with this question. How finite mind will understand the infinite? You ask the question and look around. Because nobody can answer this question. Who told you finite mind? Who told you finite mind? Hey, mind also is infinite. There is nothing other than infinite. Why do you say finite mind? And another thing, why should you see the infinite? Why do you ask as though you have to see the infinite? You are asking infinite, you say, limitless, you say. Afterwards, how will I see it through my finite mind? You said limitless. That means it doesn't require to be seen. Because all that is there is limitless. Then how will I know? How will I know the limitless? So you seem to know already. You say, how will I know the limitless? So you seem to know that you cannot know the limitless. And that means you know something about the limitless that you cannot know about it. Confusion. This confusion, why, from where did it come? It's all humbug nonsense. And therefore, I tell you one saving grace. Saving grace is you need not see. Thank God. You need not see. It reveals itself. Your funny notions, if I remove, I am successful. Okay? You have got funny notions about limitless that I have to remove. Itself reveals itself. You don't require to see. That is what is limitless. If it is required to be seen, then it is limited. Another limited thing. And you are the one. You have to deal with it, okay? Not only you have to deal with it, that also has to deal with it. And deal with you. And therefore, this is the problem. And therefore, the limitless reveals itself. It doesn't require to be seen by you. All these questions they generally ask and look around. These I always remember in Bandara. So in Shrishikesh Bandara, we invite all the sadhus to come for food. We all eat, sit and eat, and then nice. It's a wonderful thing to do. And there will be always one or two this kind of people, and he will sing. He will recite one verse. Shantakaram bhujakasayanam padmanabham suresham. How it is done? There's a style. There's a style. Shantakaram bhujakasayanam padmanabham suresham Vishvadharam gagan sadrisham Meghvarnam shubhangam Lakshmi kantam kamalayanam Yogi vidyan gamyam Bande vishnum bhavaiharam sarvalokānāṃ Nama Parvati pataye. He has a feeling he did the best and nobody else can do like that. So he is so proud and looks everybody, he looks around to get the acknowledgement. These kind of questions you always face. Nobody can answer this. That's the thinking. How with the finite mind we will understand the infinite? Limited mind, how will you understand limitless? I don't understand. Seriya vatakkan volurga. Karya karanata nityam aste ghatamritor yathā yathaiva shruti yukti vyām. There, of course, you see Karya Karana together sitting there. But that's not so. With Brahman, true sir, it happens to be you. And therefore you are not going to see it. And it happens to be everything else. And therefore that which is the truth of the subject is going to be the truth of the object. And it has to transcend both. Because subject-object are opposed to each other. But the truth of the subject is not opposed to object. And therefore, it sustains the subject, it sustains the object, and that is Satyam. That is the Atma. The truth of the subject, truth of the object. The word sustains also is not a good word. It's like water sustaining wave. What is sustenance there? Water is wave. And therefore, so this, how do you know this? By Shruti. Sarvam kalvidam brahma. Purnamadaha purnamidam. Purnat purnam udachyate. Karana karya. So karya is Brahma, Purnam. Purnam means limitless, whole Brahman. Karyam is Brahman. Karanam is Brahman. Because Karanam is Brahman. Purnam adaha. That stands for the previous condition, that is Karanam. So the Karanam is Brahman. And this Karyam is the same Brahman. Oh, there are two Brahmans? Yeah, the word that is ni kepayen theriyum. So the Shruti knows that you would ask like this. That is why you will ask, say Brahman. We say that is big. Oh, there are two big things are there. Karyam Brahma, A be big hai, O be big hai, do big hai. So though big and though they came together. So this fellow also, in the ring, like, what is that, sumo wrestlers. Okay? Sumo wrestlers. Correct. Not bad. So two Brahman. That is why the word is used here, Purnamadaha. Purna means whole. There are no two whole. There is only one whole. Purnam adaha. That karana, that is Purnam. This is Purnam. This is the effect what you see. This is Purnam. Non-separate from that Purnam. And to make it clear, they are not two Purnams. Purnat Purnam udachyate. So Purnat Purnam udachyate. From that Purna, this Purna came. This is also Purnam. Purnat Purnam. That is called cause-effect. The effect is cause. And therefore, karyasya purnasya satyam purnam grihitva purnameva visishyate. When you look at the Jagat as Purnam Brahma, then Purnam alone is there. The truth of this Purnam is Purnam. And therefore, what remains is only Purnam. And that is you. That includes the subject and object both. You don't become the subject with your mind, without your senses, and they are located in this body. So with this karya karana sanghatam vina, you don't become the subject. You have to be the subject. Only when you see, when you hear, etc., you become the subject. And the whole thing, subject and object, all of them, are idam purnam. And the truth is the kāraṇaṃ purnam. This is karyam purnam. Purnat purnam udachyate. And therefore, this karya karanata, from the Shruti, yuktibhyam. With the help of the Shruti, yato imani bhutani jayante, yato va imani bhutani jayante, yena jatani jivanti, yasmin prayantya bisham bishanti, tad vijijñāsasva tad brahmeti. Brahmanaha lakshanam. That is the lakshana. Out of what all these have come, by which all these have their being, because of which they have their being, by which they are all sustained, all these are sustained, and unto which all these go back, that is Brahman. That includes everything, known and unknown, all lokas, everything. And people want to go to loka. That is the karya. That is karya, which is Brahman and which is you. And therefore, it's then it's up all tourism. So you have Shruti. From the Shruti, Shrutya, we understand this by the Shruti. And we have enough reasoning to assimilate the Shruti statement. And any other contention can be dismissed not by logic, by showing the fallacies of the logic in the other person's contention. We are not proving anything by logic. We are only showing the fallacies of the other fellow's thinking. That is called mananam. Shruti has said, the karyam is kāraṇaṃ. Vācārammanam vikaro namadeyam mṛtika eva satyam. Iti tad jnanam asti. Yad jnatva sarvam vijñātam bhavati. Knowing which everything is as well known. Because everything is one thing. If there is no ignorance about it, that's it. You know what is to be known. That is called nyayam. It is known. Shruti is there. Then any other contention any other contention, when somebody propounds, and there should be a certain line of argument, if that is also true, and what the Shruti says also is true, then that both cannot be true, because we are talking of one topic, both cannot be true, and therefore we have to understand whether whether this is right or that is right. So you ask whether this is right or that is right. If Shruti is right, then this person is going to be wrong. There is no simply just hitting the table, this is right, that is not right. That is not going to work here. It is knowing. And therefore, it's not preaching. So naturally, if that is not right, there is going to be a fallacy in that thinking. And the fallacy you have to point out. You have to point out the fallacy. That's all how we use reasoning, only to point out the fallacies of various contentions. And dismissing all contentions are necessary to assimilate what is said by the Shruti. And it stays. It stays as jnana. Unshaken. That is called sthira jnanam, sthita prajna. Nishtha. All these nice words are there. And then we have to say firm knowledge, Some firm knowledge, okay. And so Shruti yuktibhyam prapancha brahmanoho iha. Same thing, the same way for Brahman as well as prapancha, karya karanata asti. How do you know? By Shruti and Yukti, supported by Yukti. Yukti means reasoning. Shruti Yukti Bhyam. Grihyamane gate yadvat mṛtikāyāti vai balat vīkṣamane prapanchepi brahmaiva bhati bāsuram. Grihyamane gate. When pot is understood, pot is seen. That is one grahanam. Or pot is grasped. Another grahana. Both ways you can take. But here it is when you see a pot. Pot is sighted. Pot is grasped. This is a pot, iti, pot is grasped. And if it is a clay pot, and clay also is grasped. Correct? If you pick up the pot and bring it home, clay will travel along with it, correct? You can't say, I have left the clay behind. Clay is not a problem. Even if you left the clay behind, you got enough clay. So that's not an issue. But if it is gold, golden chain, and then you brought the chain, and you come home and feel, the chain is there, where is gold? Where is gold? Where is gold? Husband says, how much gold it was? 2 sovereigns. 2 sovereigns gold, you left it in the jewelry shop. This is called made for each other. And so I told you. And so, this, as you bring the chain, you bring the gold also. You can't leave behind. When you see the chain, you see the gold. You may not recognize this gold. In those days, they didn't have gold, gold. They didn't have this 14 KT and all that. And therefore they are giving these examples. Because it looks like gold and it is not gold. I heard today the white gold. There is white gold also. So that also we don't know. There is white gold. So if it's a white gold, if it is something like, this platinum, that's white gold, it's an expression. But they say no, it is gold and it is made into a white color, and because of that, some adding silver and all that. Hey, what is that white gold? How can you make gold into white? Because silver is more than. Silver is more. An alloy made into white. We tried to make this silver look like gold. And somebody is trying to make gold into silver. And in a buddhi, that's not a very good idea. But anyway. So when it is not real gold, seeing is not enough. You have to grasp it is gold. That is why grihyamane. You have to take it in your hand, enough. You know it's gold. There's all these light 14 KT, all this gold and all rolled gold. And some kind of those things, gold plated. Those things you will easily understand just putting the object in your palm. You know. If you know what it is all about, you know. That is when it is the object is understood. The chain is understood, pot is understood, is seen as pot along with that clay, which is the pot. Pot is clay. That is as well understood. Therefore, grihyamane ghate sati yadvate mrittika ayati vai balat. Balat, necessarily, without any effort, without a second effort, balat ayati. Necessarily, it also comes. When you bring the pot, and clay comes along with it necessarily. Why? Because pot is clay. When pot is grasped, clay also is grasped as well necessarily. Similarly, vīkṣamāne prapanchepi, the prapancha also, when the prapancha, the world, what you see, including your body, mind, sense complex, the entire prapancha, made of these 5 elements, this entire prapancha, when it is seen, vīkṣamāne prapanchepi, brahmaiva abhati basuram, basuram brahmaiva abhati. When the prapancha is seen, and what the prapancha shines, the prapancha comes to light, and the prapancha shines with your eyes, ears, all this prapancha shines. Do you know what shines? Brahma shines. Brahma shines? Yes. Why it shines? Basuram, swayam, self-shining. It is prakāsātmakam, chaitanyātmakam. It is in the form of light of consciousness. And therefore, that shines in the form of Jagat really. Therefore, when you see the prapancham, you don't require to see in the prapancham Brahman I want to see. This is all modern Vedanta. And therefore, so in the prapancha I want to see Brahman. How to see Brahman? Underneath is Brahman. And you have to see that. So, therefore you do, since it is underneath, and therefore you reverse yourself in a Shirasasana. And see Brahman. So, Brahmaiva abhati, asamantat swayam bhati ityartah, self-shining, Brahman alone shines. The prapancha shines means Brahman shines, swayam bhati, self-shining, self-revealing. Nothing else. Is another argument. How did this self, this Brahman, Atma, how did it become a samsari? How this Brahman, limitless Brahman, how did it become samsari? This is another question. That kind of a question. Yeah. This is a question, is a very, very popular question. How did the infinite become finite? The teaching is, may you become infinite. That's not the teaching. You are a finite being, of course, limited being. May you become limitless. That would be a wrong teaching also. The limited cannot become limitless. The teaching is, you are limitless. That means what? It has not become. It has not become. The teaching is, you are limitless. And I say, you are limitless. Swamiji, I understand I am limitless. Then what? Then what else? I have no job. I have no job. You are completely relieving me. So you I have no job. Because already you understand limitless. No, Swamiji. But how? How did I originally become limited? If I am limitless, how did I become limited? Yeah, I say, you say I have understood that I am limitless, then you have not become limited. Then otherwise you cannot understand that I am limitless. How can you understand that I am limitless if you had become limited? No. Then why I need to inquire all these Vedanta study and all that? Why? Because I became limited. Yeah, you didn't become limited. You only have got a company, limited company, private limited company. And so you have not, you are the boss of the public limited company, private limited company. You are not limited. You are still limitless. Then the question will be, then I will say, that is due to ignorance, mistake. You have committed a mistake. Not knowing you are limitless. Then why I didn't know? Again, morning question. Why I didn't know? Why I didn't know? Because you want to give me a job. That's why you didn't know. Otherwise I won't have job. If you didn't know, I can talk to you. And therefore, just to oblige me, you didn't know. From where did the ignorance come? I have to tell him, ignorance didn't come. Oh, didn't come means what? It has no beginning. Oh, if it has no beginning, it will have no end. That may be true. That may be true. Therefore, let us say, Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om